The one who laterally moves out in front of it hits the push right, where it just goes straight right and stays there. And then I'm increasing them as I turn and rotate through the golf ball. Those people who are taught to move laterally end up shifting so far and sliding into the shot, and it kills their rotation. That femur will move over the top of the lead foot, not outside of it, and then it rotates.
The most fun that we're having with our job.
Yep.
Next to standing on the range at a major championship with our players is the Porzak Golf Complete Game Clinic. We have two of the most unbelievable locations here in the Southwest and the Northeast. We start off here in San Diego at the Grand Del Mar, one of the best practice facilities in all of California. We have the Fairmont for accommodations.
But I'll tell you what, one of my personal favorites, North Stonington, Connecticut, the Lake of Isles Golf Course, one of the most beautiful and best public courses in the country, right next to the Foxwoods Resort Casino, which is the second largest casino in the country. Incredible facility, incredible place, and really some incredible stuff coming out of there.
You guys, the Porzak Golf Complete Game Clinic covers every aspect of the game. There is not one part of the golf game that's not talked about. We cover everything. So listen, we invite you to join us. Contact us for dates at info@porzakgolf.com. We can't wait to see you.
I want to follow this up with the question from Jason Rolson, 6997, who says, "This has been great for my irons, but I'm pushing my woods."
Yeah, and typically what that is you're not doing the 1-in-1.
Right.
Okay, what happens is whenever you're getting in front of the golf ball, you guys, if you're getting too much weight on the front foot, you're out in front of it already. And I always tell people, Mike and I talk about this all the time, there's two ways to get out in front of your arms and hands in the downswing, right? Say you're perfectly connected to the top and everything's, moving together right to the top. Well, if I laterally move out in front of it, I'm going to shove it right. If I rotationally move out in front of it, I'm going to shove it right, okay? The big thing that you can actually learn about that, I got some good stuff for you here. Maybe never said this on YouTube, actually. The one who laterally moves out in front of it hits the push right, where it just goes straight right and stays there. The one who spins out like this gets behind him and they wipe across it real hard, like a ping pong paddle going like this, and that's the one that starts right and slices right.
Yep.
So that's a nice thing for you guys to know. The guy who laterally moves is always going to typically push it. The guy who rotationally gets out in front of it hits the push slice, okay? Most people, when they laterally move, are negating the amount they rotate. And when you take rotational speed away, you're going to reduce the speed in your golf swing. And more importantly, you're going to reduce the ability to square up the face. Most people who are taught to move laterally end up shifting so far and sliding into the shot, and it kills their rotation, okay? Rory, Scotty have the ability to drive their hips but still open up their hips, and that's something that these guys do. The appropriate amount of lateral movement that we like in the swing that just helps the people rotate and also transfer the weight and have the least amount of manipulation is from here. That femur will move over the top of the lead foot, not outside of it, and then it rotates. That's the post, right? So that's half a hip width over. That's something Todd always taught me. Typically, the most consistent and best golf swings in the world are half a hip width over. Now, and making sure that from a neutral position, definitely with the driver. And here's the thing, with the driver, we do preach this. I mean, yes, irons,
Absolutely.
This can stay still, that can shift. Essentially, that's perfect, okay? For some people, that still feels like the 1-in-1 to be perfect, okay? But with the driver, it is. You need to go 1-in-1, like no matter what. We're getting here, here's the ball position, and it's boom, right there. And if I hang, I love this one. This is what Todd showed me too when I was younger. This is great right here, okay? The appropriate distance your upper body should be behind your lower body. The relation from lower body to upper body would be the right way to say that. So if I'm hitting a wedge, right, and I bump my hips and I drop my hands, you can see my hands are pretty much right over my knees, right? Now watch this with a 7-iron. I bump my hips, and look at my right hand. It's like the middle finger's over the outside of my knee. Watch with a driver. Mm-hmm. My whole hand is off the right side of my knee. That shows me the relationship my upper body has to my lower body when bumping the hips with each club in the bag. And it's really important to understand, this is a foolproof plan that we create for our players. When you have the proper width of stance with each club and you shift that hip an inch forward, you also have the right weight distribution from side to side. So let's go through that real quick, right? If I'm hitting a wedge and I have the outsides of my feet aligned with the outsides of my shoulders, and I bump that hip an inch forward, well, wait, that's more significant, right? That's about 70-30 with the pressure. Now, I get a little wider, have the middle of my feet aligned with the outsides of my shoulders, I bump that hip forward. Okay, it's like 60-40. Why more on the front foot? Well, it's an iron. The bottom of the swing needs to be a little bit more in front of the golf ball. Now, with a driver, we get a little wider. Insides of feet to the outsides of my shoulders. Bump the hip, shift the upper body a little bit. Well, guess what? Now it's 40-60. What's important to understand about this hip bump, okay, and this is something that I've said for a long time that I think makes a big difference in people's golf swings. When we're shifting pressure from side to side or transferring weight, okay, as some people call it, we're not just standing there and trying to find it. We're shifting that hip forward, and pressure is already built up, and I'm adding pressure as I turn to where it already exists in the setup. Yep. So if I'm hitting an 8-iron, and I have the right ball position, width of stance here, and I shift that hip forward. Now, what's happening is the pressure's building on the inside of my right foot and the flat of my left foot. So what's great is when I turn around the fixed points I create in my setup, that pressure is getting added to where it already exists. I already can feel my pressure points, and then I'm increasing them as I turn and rotate through the golf ball. That's a big point right there. So that adds to a lot of consistency.
It is, and it really is, you know, right, what my Kolo, excuse me for not being able to pronounce the name, Kosolomatov handle says. The hip bump does wonders for my backswing. A technical question. At the top, should I feel the load in my left hip for a right-handed golfer?
I would say that you want to feel that more in the right glute, right on the inside here, on the inside of the right foot. I will say this. You know, when I am hitting a wedge in a shorter shot and I'm narrower, the narrower I am, I do feel a little bit of tension in my left glute and the left hip a little bit. I'd say that, you know, I'm a little bit more on top of my left side. Let's make one thing clear. You know, when you have a sand wedge in hand, pitching wedge down, there's no weight transfer. I mean, it's happening maybe a little bit because you're turning and rotating, but like in your mind, you watch the best in the world, watch their hips. They're almost moving into the target and further into the target. They're not moving off the golf ball at all with wedges. So I would tell you that with wedges, yeah, you might be able to feel that a little bit. I don't feel that as much as I get into middle of the bag and throughout. But let's see here real quick. But here we go. Let's see. 8-iron. Yeah, I mean, I feel it in the hip, so it's not fair to say not at all. Yeah. But I definitely feel a lot more in my right side.
So I think that covers it. That was a pretty good summary of the reverse K and the setup, guys. And, you know, it's been a big topic for us for a long time that we've always wanted to get at. And it's just something, you get in the mirror, you know what you're doing, you find your tendencies, and you keep working on it.
So one thing that makes our YouTube channel for you even more valuable is when you actually get to work with us. We have multiple avenues at which you can go down in order to work with us. We have FaceTime lessons. Okay, if you can't get to us in person, it's the next best thing. We have in-person lessons. And we also have our Poor Zach Golf complete game clinics. You guys, every single one of these options is going to get you better. You can contact info@Poor Zach Golf to get to us, and you can book any of those three right through that email right there. At Poor Zach Golf, we take a lot of pride in having developed some of the best and most consistent golf swings on the planet. We do this through simplicity. Our Full Swing Masterclass will take you on a step-by-step, easy-to-understand process on how to get your golf swing better than ever. Join the many before you who've utilized our Full Swing Masterclass to take their games to the next level and beyond.